This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy web show for pet lovers on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I'm having a drink and a chat with a lady who's going to help me decipher the pet parent psyche. I'll tell you all about her and introduce you as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors. Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with an author, an entrepreneur, a dog and cat lover, an adventure seeker. She's a Girl Scout volunteer for 11 years, a Boy Scout parent for 14 years. She's wife to Tom, mom to Tom, Dan, and Claire, cat ma to 13-year-olds, Phantom and Sloth. She's from the Jersey Shore, the good one, not the bad one you see on TV, she says. She's Amy Tolman of Pet Sitter SEL. Welcome, Amy. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with that intro. It's a lot.
Well, I mean, I want to share who you guys are outside of your professional resume. I want to get to know my guests a little bit better than just like, oh, they founded this company in this year and now they have this title. I want to know more about you. So before I go any further though, anybody participating in our drinking game tonight, anytime you hear this word, make sure you take a drink of whatever it is you're enjoying. But please be over the legal drinking age wherever you're watching from. Never drink and drive and always drink responsibly. What are you drinking tonight, Amy?
Okay. This is one of my favorite wines. This is a blend. It's a white blend, and I don't know if you can see this. It's called Ugly Duckling. You'll have to look up online to see what the various components are, but it's Ugly Duckling, and it's from, and I don't know if you can see this, it's from a local winery near me called Working Dog, and they're in, I think, Robbinsville, New Jersey, and I absolutely love it.
Cheers. That sounds good. So you're sitting in Central Park having a glass of wine. How wonderful.
I am. That's actually the Dakota right behind me. Yes. Very wonderful history filled with the Dakotas.
You know what? I like to pretend the whole point of this show is to pretend that we're at a bar or having a picnic and having a glass of wine. So we're basically pretending we're in Central Park. And actually, I'm drinking white wine as well. And I'm drinking a perfect picnic wine. This is called Akiyoshi. It's called Akiyoshi. It is Sugar Cube Blanc. I mean, it's a sweet white wine, which I normally don't go for sweet wines, but it's very springy today. And I'm a member of nakedwines.com where they send me wines, and they have this great like 6-pack of whites. And I was like, I don't even want to know what they are. Just send them to me. So this is one. It's delicious. Yeah, definitely. Especially COVID times. I'm not going shopping for wine. Just send it to my door.
Exactly.
Cheers. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. That will be mine as well.
Please do. Enjoy. So I always introduce this show with a game. And I want to play a game with you to kind of warm us up for the conversation. I know you have no idea what to expect because I was like, you know what? We're going to talk about the psyche of pet people. But you're not a psychologist and you're not necessarily like a super duper crazy pet person. You don't call yourself like the crazy cat lady. But we're still going to talk about your knowledge of pets around the world. That is the name of this game. And are you ready to play?
Yes. Sounds fun.
As most of my games, it's a true or false game. So you have 50% chance of getting all of them right.
I love it. I love it.
All right, so the first one, Argentina, Mexico, and Brazil have the highest percentage of pet owners in the world. True or false?
True.
It is true.
Cool.
According to calmsage.com, that is, I have not verified the authenticity of any of these statistics. Women are most likely to have a cat or a dog as a pet, while men are more likely to have fish or birds as pets. True or false?
False.
According to calmsage.com, that is true. Again, I have no idea what kind of men, what kind of women. I'm assuming they mean single women and men.
Wow.
I don't know.
Interesting. Very
interesting, right? I have no idea. All right, next one. Dogs are the most popular pets in the United States, with almost 50 million households owning at least one dog. True or false?
I thought it was cats. I will say false because I think it's cats.
That's really interesting you should say that. So according to calmsage.com, there's more cats than dogs in the US.
Right.
According to worldatlas.com, that is true. There are more dogs than cats. So I think it depends on when you're taking the statistic. So both answers fly. You are good to go on that one.
I like that. I like that.
Depends on who you ask. All right. Cats are some of the oldest known pets, with scientists discovering that a cat was being kept as a pet in Cyprus more than 9,500 years ago. True or false?
Yes, true.
It is true. Isn't that so cool? No wonder they love themselves so much. They're like, we're the originals, the OG.
I like that. Like in the Egyptian art, if you ever look at, there was like Egyptian art and you see them in there as well.
Absolutely. I love the fact that there's like hieroglyphics of cats and stuff. Like, it's so cool.
Exactly.
And they're always so poised and elegant, as they are now on their cat trees in our living rooms.
Mine have moments when they're not, when elegant is not quite the word. But yeah. Belly rub time. Some can be a little, and you just kind of look at them and you go, do you have to have your feet straight up in the air when you're doing
That's a lot of like visual, right? Sometimes cats can really. I used to have a client that had a really great sense of humor, and he had like magnets of like cat bottoms on his fridge. So all you saw was like the tail, the little bottom, and the legs. It was kind of hilarious. It made me smile every time.
They're also like jacket hooks, coat hooks that you can get. That it's like the back end of a cat.
The back end of the cat. Yeah. They always made me smile, so I guess they're worth the investment. All right, exactly. 2 more questions. 44% of French households have pets. True or false?
True.
It is true. The French love their pets.
Wow.
Last one. Dogs are the most popular pets in Europe. True or false?
I would say true.
It's actually false. According to World Atlas, they are the ones that have more cats than dogs in Europe.
Wow. I would not think that, because just from nothing other than just what I read and all. That's interesting. I did not know that.
I agree. I have family in Spain. I've been to Spain I go to Spain almost every year outside of COVID experience. And I don't think I've ever met a cat inside a house as a pet. Like, I've seen cats outside, but most of the pets I've met in Spain are dogs. So I was surprised by that as well. So you are kind of in a special place. I wanted to know if you personally consider yourself a part of the pet care industry, or if you consider yourself a part of the IT industry, because what you do is mostly online.
It is. And I'm, you know what? I've told this line for quite a bit and quite a few years. I actually started working with pet sitters 6 years ago, and I started my business, 4 years ago. And I've always said, I've been very clear, I am not a pet sitter. I do not do pet care, but I respect everyone who does, because y'all have a lot more patience than I do. Because I think some things I would just be like, oh, it's raining, it's cold. And then all y'all are out there, getting the snow out of the way, getting to these homes, getting to these. I'm just not that good. I want to sit inside. I've got like my little warmies on. I'm sitting in front of my monitors, getting stuff done. In as much as I sometimes wish I was a little bit more, involved, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with kind of, like I said, being on the periphery, knowing a lot of people, being happy, to speak with those people, but still the periphery is okay.
It's interesting because most people watching may not even know what it is you do. So do you mind giving us a tiny glimpse as to what an SEO specialist like you does?
Okay, well, it's funny because an SEO does SEO. What SEO is, I am a person who does the thing called SEO, but those people are also called SEOs. What I do is I optimize websites, and peripherally, tangentially, Google my business listings so that they come up higher for people. And I specialize in working with pet care people, and it could be pet sitters, it could be groomers, it could be daycares, kennels, boarding facilities. It's all generally kind of falls within my area of expertise, so to speak.
Okay, well, I know what you do because I hired you to do it before I had to close
Thank
down
you.
my business. Thank you. Because I remember us having a conversation over the phone and you were like just giving immediately, like looking at my website, giving me feedback. And I was like taking notes because that's just the kind of person I am. And I was implementing things as you were saying it to me because I was like, I mean, this is an expert giving me free advice, so I'm going to implement it right now.
Well, and that was the thing, is that when people call me, I should just tell them at the outset. And I do video calls now too. I do video consultations partially because I want them to see what I'm looking at. But that's the thing. I should tell people at the outset, I hope you have your crayons ready.
Yes.
Because I tend to be I usually get a little into it. So it's hard for me to just say to somebody, yes, hire me. It's more like, okay, do this. And if you want to hire me, let me know tomorrow,
Yeah, it's exactly. You were like thinking out loud. You were like kind of like doing the review of our website as you were speaking to me, being like, this needs to be this and this needs to be that. So do you enjoy working with pet people?
I really love it because I know this is like a little bit of a hero complex thing, but I really feel like I'm helping small businesses survive.
I love our industry. I don't think that all pet people are super social. So you have to kind of find, like, the people that we meet at conferences are usually the extroverts within the industry that want to meet other people, or they're able to be extroverts for like the 3-day conference and then go home and decompress for 2 weeks. But then you have other people who don't want to go to the conferences. They just want to work with pets. They don't want to deal with the humans. And the problem with the pet care industry is that it's not just about pets. It's also about humans. It's about the pet parent. I remember going to a meeting with my attorney years ago, and I don't even remember what I was meeting with my attorney for. It was our first meeting. And he said that he had one other client that was in the pet care industry. And he said that he's very different from you. He's very quiet. He's like, you're going to be fine because you're such a people person. And he said, that's not common in your industry. And you know, what's funny is it's really not that common. And the people go into this work because they love the animals. Dealing with the pet parent is secondary. But at the same time, we have to have a way to connect the pet parent with the pet sitter or the pet care provider, the dog trainer, whomever. We have to find a way to connect them. And sometimes the pet sitters don't have any sales experience. They don't have any marketing experience. They want to keep things humble. They're like, they don't even see themselves as that important, right? They see themselves as just the pet care provider.
But see, that's the problem, is that even people who, I've spoken with people who seem like they have a little bit of a cognitive dissonance going on, but even they know, I have to put this out there because if not, I'm not going to be found. And that's what's really hard, is because sometimes you kind of need to push them a little bit.
I don't want to get too far into this discussion yet, because I have all sorts of questions for round 2 as soon as we come back from these messages from our sponsors. Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arada, and today I'm talking to Amy Toman, who is an SEO, or SEO, search engine optimization specialist. And she is going to play another game with me because I want to really delve into the psyche of a pet parent who's looking to hire a pet care provider. So this next game, Amy, it's called Petty Personality. And we're going to talk about what the kind of pet one has says about one's personality.
Ooh, this should be fun.
All right. So again, it's a true or false question. We have 6 of them, and you are probably going to get them all right. They're kind of self-explanatory. And before anybody gets mad at me about what these questions mean and what they say, I pulled these questions from 2 scientific studies. Okay, so don't get mad at me if you don't like what they say. One of the studies is a Michigan State University study about personalities and pets, and the other one is a University of Texas at Austin study about personalities and pets. So lots of research out there on this topic, which is really kind of fascinating.
Cool. This will be fun.
All right, first question. Extroverts tend to raise excitable, active dogs. True or false?
Wow. Yes. True.
True. It is true. According to Michigan State University, the pets really mimic our personalities. So if you're excitable, so are your dogs.
Love it.
All right, next one. Pessimistic owners raise dogs that are more anxious, fearful. True or false?
Oh. True.
According to that same study, it is true.
That's sad.
Isn't it? Well, that Michigan State study is only about dogs. So I don't know exactly how the personalities of a cat parent influence their cat specifically, but these next questions will talk about cats a little more. Next question. Dog people tend to be more self-disciplined than cat people.
Yes, definitely.
It's true. They are more self-disciplined than cat people. That was a surprise to me, actually.
Was it? I find it because they dogs want to eat at a certain time. They want to go for a walk at a certain time. They're more demanding about attention. So I definitely understand. Cats, especially cat sitters, have told me that one of the reasons why some of them go towards that is because cats are less demanding about their schedule. They're aware of their schedule, but they're not as, they don't stick to it as much. So that doesn't surprise me.
Those are good points. I totally see that. Cat people tend to have a stronger sense of duty than dog people. True or false?
False.
You're right. Absolutely right. The ones that have a strong sense
to walk the dog, don't you? You have to be home to walk the dog, feed the dog. And I think that's much more of a, oh my God, it's 5 minutes after I was supposed to feed the dog. And I think that's because we had a dog. We had 2 dogs for a total of, I can't remember, 15 years. And that was always my thing, is if we weren't home by say the dog is supposed to eat at 5, if we weren't home by 5:01, I was losing it. I was just, the dog needs us.
Exactly. No, it's true. I mean, it's why I had a business to begin with. It was the dogs needed their walk, and the dogs needed to be out every so often, and they needed their meals at a specific time. And unless a cat is being medicated, you're right, they're more easy to fit into a schedule when somebody's traveling. All right, next question. Cat people tend to be curious, creative, free thinkers.
True.
It is absolutely true. Oh, you're doing really well on this game. All right, next one. Cat people are less agreeable than dog people. And again, this is not my opinion. This is based on a study from University of Texas at Austin.
I agree.
It is true. They are less agreeable than dog people, according to this study.
That's such a nice way to phrase it, too.
It's really funny. I feel like cat people are very discerning about their cat's care. And I've shared this before on this show. I had a cat client demand that we brush their cat's teeth during visits, and the cat didn't know us, and the cat wouldn't let us do it. And she was like, just do it. And we were like, we can't just do it. So we never had that kind of demand from a dog person. They were kind of they kind of understood that dogs were more variable, I guess. And this person this human was less variable in her expectations. So in my experience caring for cats and dogs and their people for 12 plus years, I do agree that cat people tended to be less agreeable. Sometimes they were way super agreeable, super easygoing, but when they were particular, they were very particular.
Yes, I can see that.
Are you a particular cat person?
We're not really that this has to be done now, or, we cater to them a little, but I don't think we're nuts about it.
So when you're looking for a service provider, whether it be a pet care provider, or even like, I don't know, a cleaning service or a landscaping service, when you go online, what do you look for? Because you know how these websites work. So what exactly, maybe what are your top 3 things that you look for on a website?
Oh, the first thing I was going to say, the only two things that I really look for. One of them is that they're nearby so that they are come to my area, and the other one is reviews.
Okay.
I don't just look at reviews, but I look at the content of the reviews, and sometimes, and I don't know if anyone else does this, and this is not just services, this is also products. I sometimes go in and I look at the worst reviews first,
Yes.
because the worst reviews sometimes tend to give more detail as to why they're unhappy, as opposed to I love them, they're great, and then they move on.
Good point.
I hate to say this, because I have been, I look at them all day, and I've been working with them, and I'm trying to tell people how to get good reviews. For somebody to get, a preponderance of bad reviews tells me not only that they're not necessarily somebody who knows how to get along with people, but also they just don't care. And so, in as much as I don't necessarily trust somebody who's got all good reviews, I shouldn't say that because I have a lot of nice ones. So, and thank you everyone who's left one. But but I think that there's a sweet spot. It has been shown that there's a sweet spot somewhere between about 4.4 and about 4.8.
Yes, I've
And
seen that study as well. And I know that
yes,
nobody believes the fully 5 stars. Like, really, truly, like, are you paying for these reviews? Why do you not have
I'll leave
any?
now if you want.
Just kidding. Well, I mean, we always had on Google, we had like 32 5-star reviews, but on Facebook we had like a 4 something, because all of them were 5s except for one client who just didn't give us a 5. She gave us a 4. She liked us. She said nice things, but we weren't worthy of a 5 in her mind, and that's fine too. But I did see the same study that you're referring to, where it was like there's kind of like a sweet spot, like too many 5s, maybe anything less than 3.5, not so good.
Yeah, and it's like I said, there is a sweet spot, because you know what? Nobody's perfect. And I think
Right.
everybody knows that nobody's perfect. So, like I said, I don't it's not that I don't trust people who have all fives. I just want to see detailed reviews. That's why when I tell people, like, if you can if you can discuss with the people, who are happy with your service, all I said, ask them to put in detail, right? Ask them to put in 4 or 5 sentences, talk about what service on your website that they received that they were happy with. If you can possibly say the area, because again, the more detail that they provide, the better it is for people reading the reviews and trying to decide, is this company for me or not?
Absolutely.
And that's, I think that's the thing, is the more information that they give out, the more they're helping other people. And I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
definitely the same thing. I ask people all the time. I say, could you please mention, that we did, whatever it is, in phone consultation or whatever, and just say, what you were happy about. And for the most part, if you say that to people, they will do it. Because I don't know about you, but I find these little, oh, she was wonderful. I find those useless. So
Yeah.
I like to read ones that have more kind of meat to them.
Sometimes the bad reviews are inevitable sometimes. Sometimes I can tell you my first Yelp review ever at the Wag Pack was a lady who we had to decline services because her dog was aggressive to the point where we could not enter the home when we arrived to provide services. And she was only going to hire us once a month. So this dog was never going to get to know us on that kind of a schedule. So I said, based on once a month scheduling, I don't have anybody who's going to feel safe taking this dog out. He was a huge dog, like a Cane Corso Rottweiler mix.
Oh,
He was
yeah,
big. He
big,
was
very big.
scary because he was like having this guttural growl, and we had to like sit in the kitchen and like sneak out. It was very scary, and I had to decline services. And she called me lacking in compassion because I wouldn't care for her dog. But obviously, she was thinking of that from a pet parent's perspective, and I was thinking of it from
Yeah.
an employer's perspective, where I could not put my staff member in danger, and I went to see the situation, and I couldn't put myself in danger either. So I responded to that review, and it's still there, even though the Wag Pack it doesn't exist. This was in 2010, and it's still there. Does the response matter to you?
What a great question. Yes. And here's the thing. You've lost that person anyway. So
Yes.
your response shouldn't be geared towards them. Your response should be geared towards the people reading it who've not used you.
And this is my plea to pet parents who are listening or watching on YouTube. Please reach out to the company first
Yes.
before resorting to Google, Facebook, Yelp. Please reach out to the company first. Please inform them of what went down. Hopefully, they will rise to the occasion, make things right for you, discuss any misunderstandings, expectations not being met, etc. But please give them the opportunity before you go online, because you could really be hurting a business by taking that reaction public as opposed to an email.
Right.
And always give small businesses the benefit of the doubt. I think a lot of times whenever we got complaints, which was very rare for us, like truly, it was very rare because we had such a great team. But whenever we had some kind of like a nasty gram come in, it was usually a misunderstanding. It was usually something that was not, that their expectation was different, or we did things differently, or we left something in a different place than they expected, or we didn't post, we didn't post their pet's picture that night on Facebook because we don't post in real time. They thought we did. So they were like, if you didn't post, then you must have not been there. Things that maybe they don't understand about the way the business operates. So I always beg pet parents, whether it's a pet industry business you're working with, a restaurant, something completely unrelated, always go to the source first. Let them make it right, or give them the opportunity to explain before you go public and ruin their reputation.
Which is good, because like I said, a lot of times once it's been posted, they're done. So that's good to hear. That's a really good request. You're right.
It's true. It's true. So tell us, how can pet professionals reach out to you and learn more about your services? And I think that what the biggest thing is, you have the secret on how to ask for Google reviews. I mean, pet professionals watching, you need to get in touch with this lady, because I mean, that's truly where the fortunes are made these days, on getting people to review your businesses.
Well,
And people aren't always that, keen on doing it. They just get busy and forget.
Well, a couple things. I have two things that I've kind of narrowed my services to. One is an SEO audit, where I look at the entire website and I look at everything from your technical structure to your content. And the other is the Google My Business audits. And the reason why I actually call them action plans, Google My Business action plan, is because I do have at the end marketing. I have a schedule as to when you should do something, when you should upload something, check something, respond, whatever. But in that Google My Business action plan, there's about 2 pages on nothing but reviews.
Yes.
Why you really need them, even if you think you don't. How Google uses them, how they uses the content. So then, and a lot of it's not necessarily me saying something, kind of giving you, it's like, oh, I've heard this, I've heard that. I have a lot of resources, a lot of articles that have been written, studies that have been done, a lot of information like that you wouldn't think, like, why would somebody even bother, studying this? But it's for this very reason, so that we kind of know what's the best way to proceed. So that, and it's scary, because if for something that's like a little, Google My Business listing like this, right? They usually average out to about 20 pages, if you can believe that. And I said that to somebody recently, and they're like, it's not, Google My Business listings are not that. I said, I know, but there's a science about a lot of the things that are in there. So I'm around. I'm on Facebook. I have Pet Sitter SEO on Facebook. My personal, you can also message me my personal Facebook, which is Amy. I think it's just Amy Toman. And they can always send me an email at amy@petsitterseo.com. And as far as I know, you can also Google me. You can look at my website. Done. Surprise, surprise. It still comes up, but it needs to be like a little bit more redesign, a little change around my content a little bit.
Are you guilty of what everybody else is guilty of putting your clients first and not doing the same, not applying your expertise onto your own page?
Yes, and I will tell you, I've actually thought of having somebody else kind of spiff up my site, because not in terms of the content, but in terms of the design. Because I will tell people flat out, if you come to me and you get like a consultation or you get a report from me, the goal of that report is not for you to hire me to fix it, like to go in and do the editing, or for me to build you a new website. I don't do that. And that's just not my thing. So like when I say, you should do this, you should do that, people come back to me and go, how do I do that? And I'm like, okay, there's about 8 different platforms out there. So I could tell you how to do it, but it's just not my thing to do
Right.
it per se. I know how, but I just don't. So I'm getting there. It's been a little bit, and I know I have to get to it. I know what I want. I just have to go in and play with it a little bit.
It's making the time. It's making the time. When I was a dog walker, I had to force myself to walk my own dogs because I was coming home from walking 12 dogs or 12 houses worth of dogs. And then I'd have to come home at 4 o'clock and my dogs are all like, let's go. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's go. I had to, rally. So I totally hear it. Chefs don't like to cook when they come home either.
It's very true. And you know what? It's hard too, because I've gotten to the point too that I will work like I usually work around 12-ish hours a day. So if you're staring at the screen that long, after a while, I have
You're
trouble
done.
getting to sleep. Or if I get to sleep, I can't stay asleep.
Mhm.
So I'm still trying to wrangle like the perfect, and that's like a new thing for me because I never used to have a problem with that. But I think it's partially with the eye strain. So I think that that this is something else that I'm just trying to work out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Here's to you for being a guest and for sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful. And yes, I am indeed. I don't know if you can see it on my shirt. I am covered in pet hairs. There you go.
Perfect. Here's to our executive producer, Mark Winter, who I believe is also covered in pet hair all the time. Thank you for making this show possible. Here's to our listeners at Pet Life Radio and our viewers on YouTube. Here's to a life covered in pet hair, because there's no better way to live. Cheers.
Cheers.
I hear it's bad luck if you just say cheers and then just hold it up and don't do it. So no bad luck here. I can't have any more bad luck. With the COVID year we've had, I can't have any more bad luck. If you want to learn more about Covered in Pet Hair, please visit coveredinpethair.com or petliferadio.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.